Following the success of Max Verstappen, Formula One returned to Zandvoort for the first time since 1985 last year. The next race of the season's only triple-header sees Formula One return to Zandvoort for the second Dutch Grand Prix, which will be staged around the fully refurbished, iconic site. So how will the Dutch Grand Prix turn out this season? If you want to know this and predictions on the GP, stay tuned till the end of the video. In Zandvoort's last turn, the sweeping Aurelian-Dijk Bosch gained 18 degrees banking to boost cornering speeds as part of the F1 overhaul. The second DRS zone at Zandvoort was supposed to commence before the flat-out right-hander to improve passing opportunities on the main straight, but due to safety concerns, the FIA opted to reduce the zone until after the bank curve. Following last year's lack of activity, F1 will revisit the concept later this week, with the full-length DRS zone to be tried during Friday practice. The current position is that we're going to have the DRS ahead of the final corner, so early on, to improve a bit the racing in Zandvoort. Nicolas Tumbazis, the FIA's single-seater technical director, told Viaplay. But we're keeping an open mind on that and we'll be asking teams for their feedback. We've asked them already in simulations, but also after FP1, we will be asking teams for their feedback. And if we feel that there's any, even a remote risk for the safety, then clearly we would have to take action and change it after FP1. Pirelli Motorsport Director Mario Isola stated that the alteration would vary the load on tires, but that it was too early to tell how DRS usage via the Aurelian-Dijk box would affect degradation. Usually when you open the DRS, you transfer the load on the front, so you load a lot more from the front tires compared to the rear tires, Isola said when asked about the FP1 experiment. Then, we have to check the data after this test to understand if in this condition, the rears are sliding, for example. We can have some surface overheating, for example. But it's a bit difficult at the moment to make a proper prediction. Isola believes that the lack of grip from Pirelli's harshest C1 compound will force teams to use mediums and softs during the race, and he anticipates that a two-stopper would provide more action. Hopefully, with the selection that we designed for Zandvoort, we will have a bit more action and a bit more overtaking, he added. I'm expecting a delta lap time between C1 and C2 much bigger than C2 and C3. If it's the case in a short lap like Zandvoort, which is similar to what we had in Budapest, then maybe the hard is not going to be a suitable choice for the race, and teams will focus on mediums and soft. That should bring the strategy towards a two-stop. With thousands of spectators expected to attend and a Dutch world champion racing at home, for the first time, is guaranteed to be a busy race weekend in the Netherlands. Will it be a tight match or a repetition of last week's Red Bull route? After winning the World Championship in 2021, Max Verstappen seems to be on his way to a second title, with 3 straight race wins giving him a 93-point lead in the Drivers' Championship, and with his 2 most recent victories coming from the 10th and 14th on the grid. It would be simple to believe that a Red Bull driver will have another ease triumph, especially if he does not have the same difficulties as he had in Hungary and Belgium. Red Bull's strong top speed in Spa and throughout the season suggests that lesser downforce tracks play to their car's capabilities. Ferrari team principal Mattia Binotto feels that the high-speed characteristics of Spa-Francorchamps last weekend aided Red Bull. I think that Spa is always amplifying the gaps because it's a long track and whenever you've got a slight advantage on efficiency, normally it's amplified and very obviously in such a circuit, Binotto said. So, yes, we hope to be back in the next races to be closer while I still believe that they've got today a slightly faster car. Mercedes will be looking for a performance more comparable to what they had at Hungaroring, a circuit significantly more similar to Zandvoort than Spa after failing to come within striking distance of the Red Bulls last weekend. We've got a couple of days to regroup and a plan for Zandvoort, said Mercedes' trackside engineering director Andrew Chauvelin. It's got some similar challenges with very fast corners, so hopefully we can make a bit of progress having analyzed the data from this weekend. The redesigned Zandvoort course received generally favorable feedback from drivers following the inaugural race in 2021, while the course made it difficult for drivers to complete a flawless lap, as many errors during last year's qualifying session demonstrated, overtaking was more difficult. With its many twist bends, restricted boundaries, and just 2 notable straights, passing possibilities were limited. It did not prevent any passes from taking place, but many drivers, notably Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll, stated that their belief that the circuit needed to do more to promote more passing. Following last year's race, the FIA stated that it will analyze the first race over the redesigned circuit to see whether the DRS zone should be extended from the start to finish straight back to the high bank last corner of turn 14 to allow for more passes into turn 1. It is believed that a trial will be conducted to determine if it is safe for cars to utilize such as exceptionally steep turns. F1 saw a similar issue previously this year at Albert Park in Melbourne, where a new fourth DRS zone was created in practice but then removed. It raised accusations that one team campaigned for its removal on safety concerns in order to acquire a competitive edge. Formula One continued to grow in popularity, with record track attendance at its main locations and rising television viewership statistics in important regions. Verstappen's remarkable successes in Formula One at such a relatively early age have single-handedly transformed F1 into a national sporting obsession in his own country. Last year's Dutch Grand Prix seemed like a three-day party in honor of Verstappen, who was applauded on his route to pole position and victory with a degree of frenzy that Formula One had seldom seen before, returning with a world title under his belt and with even more people in attendance than last year, when just two-thirds of capacity was allowed owing to COVID-19 limits. The festival mood is sure to be increased even more this time around. However, one Orange Army feature that might become a focus of emphasis this weekend is flares. The image of vivid orange smoke rising from grandstands has become associated with world champion support. However, the first lap of the Austrian Grand Prix demonstrated the downside of flares. While driver's sight was hindered at times, the amateur film revealed that many in the stands could not even see the action owing to the enormous volume of smoke generated. For obvious reasons, flares are theoretically forbidden in nearly all F1 stadiums. Some spectators, though, continue to carry them into the grandstands. The smoky atmosphere of last year's Dutch Grand Prix produced some amazing and classic photographs, but with more supporters and probably more flares this weekend. Ideally, fan passion does not compromise safety. While the tens of thousands of fans who will pour through the Zandvoort ticket gates this weekend will largely support their local world champion, there's a chance he will not be the only Dutch driver on the grid. For much of the season, rumors about Nicholas Latifi's future at Williams have persisted. Those murmurs only became louder when Williams gave the 2021 Formula E World Championship a run with their FW44 in first practice for the Spanish Grand Prix in May. Nick de Vries' connection to the Williams lot makes sense as one of Mercedes' reserve drivers for the season. After all, Mercedes power units have been used by Williams since the sport switched to V6 turbo hybrid engines. As the second half of the season progresses, we will get a better idea of whether there will be two Dutch drivers on the grid in 2023. It seems premature to question the Dutch Grand Prix's place on the modern Formula One calendar before it has even hosted its second event since rejoining the World Championship last season. But even as one of the sport's newer events, there is no guarantee that Formula One will be around for the foreseeable future. The revamped Zandvoort track was planned to host the Dutch Grand Prix in 2020. However, the arrival of COVID put an end to those plans, after promoters agreed to a 3-year arrangement with FOM to host the event. F1 modified the agreement to operate the race across 3 seasons, beginning in 2021. Following the success of last year's event, the 2022 edition is the second of a 3-year deal, which means that the Dutch Grand Prix will be the final on the calendar unless a 2-year option is exercised. With such fierce competition for the right to host the Grand Prix, resulting in even the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps being called into question, before Formula One announced it would race there at least in 2023. Not even a home race of a soon-to-be multiple world champion can be considered safe until FOM has signed on the dotted line of an extension. Do you think Max Verstappen has a better chance of winning in his home Grand Prix? Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any of our incredible videos. Keep an eye for the next video. Bye for now.